Welcome to episode 3, week 2 of Green and Gold. Now, this week, talking about the Packers coming off a huge win, taking on the Atlanta Falcons.
And I'm the guy that actually has some green in this video because I got the green of the tie from work earlier today. This is another one of those games where you don't really know what you've got with these teams. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But teams trying to figure out who they are and what they are. The Packers, though, feel a heck of a lot better about themselves than I think they did coming into that first game against Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with that. My notes here on this recap. The score, 38-20, the Packers win. Jordan Love, 15 for 27, 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. A good day for him, especially in his first game as the guy for the Pack. And then you look at Aaron Jones, 9 carries and receptions for 127 total yards, 2 touchdowns. That's rushing and passing combined for him. Romeo Doubs, 4 receptions, 26 yards, 2 touchdowns. The yards are kind of low, but he did get 2 crucial catches.
I think offensively, what the Packers saw in this game was that Chicago was controlling their running game. Chicago's defense owned Green Bay's running game pretty well in that game. And they also saw that Jordan Love was not accurate on the deep ball, except for one instance on a busted play where his receiver, his tight end, even had to sort of hold back and wait for the ball. It was underthrown. If it's thrown in stride, that plays a touchdown. Now they got the touchdown later on in the drive. But the Packers' short to medium passing game, the quick rhythm throws, the kind of throws that would leave receivers wide open that you could complete the passes. But Jordan Love still had darn good accuracy in the short to medium range.
Yeah.
And what they did was create an offense where they didn't expect him to make massive big plays. They let him stay within himself, do what he does best at this stage of his career. And I love the use of Aaron Jones in the passing game.
Yes.
That was monstrous.
Yeah, I want to say 86 yards for him in the passing game and a touchdown. But how about that defense as well? Rasul Douglas with the fumble recovery, Quay Walker with the pick six, and then obviously you had Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, maybe a couple other guys all getting involved in that pass rush with either sacks or half sacks.
They did what they were supposed to do against a subpar Chicago offense. We realized Justin Fields, and this was proven Sunday, is not the guy in Chicago. He will not be the guy in Chicago, at least at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
He's got to grow a ton.
Yeah.
He is not yet there, and they don't have enough pieces to necessarily make up for it. The Packers did what they should have done on defense and really dominated that game in many, many ways. Atlanta, and we'll get into Atlanta a little bit more with what you've got.
Yeah.
But I think Atlanta's the same type of team in terms of its lack of overall talent level and its lack of leadership, really at the quarterback position. And this Packers defense should be expected to perform.
Yeah, and this week, I wrote up some predictions.
Okay.
When getting into the intricacies of that. But we're talking about the Falcons here. They beat the Panthers 24-10. Bryce Young's first NFL game. A solid Panthers roster. Not much better than the Falcons when you look at this roster. But a solid win for them over Carolina. I don't take much out of that, and I don't take much out of the Packers either. It's week 1. But to this game, I think we have to address the elephant in the room first. Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, David Bakhtiari, all questionable as this is being filmed on Friday night. So who knows what this means? I'm going to assume they all play.
Okay.
But especially Jones and Bakhtiari. But, yeah.
I would argue also that 95% of the time, if you see they're questionable on Friday, they will be questionable until 90 minutes before kickoff.
Exactly.
So if you're watching this before kickoff, the odds are pretty good. Obviously, you can go and check, but the odds are pretty good. It's still the case.
Yeah.
Normally, when you're questionable, yes, it's technically listed as 50% odds that you'll play or not play, but more often than not, they'll play.
Yeah, exactly.
The odds are very good that they will play.
Exactly.
So I think you'll have a much more complete roster for Jordan Love and company to be able to take advantage of. And that includes Christian Watson if he plays
Yes.
the deep ball.
Yeah.
the deep ball. I think you'll really see that much more of a weapon option against Atlanta than you saw against Chicago.
Yeah. And I guess I'll go now to this Falcons team because they're kind of an under the radar team in this NFC South that doesn't have a standout. This team is incredible. They're going to go to the Super Bowl kind of team.
Right.
It's not like they have the Lions. Even the Lions are, if you didn't pick the Lions to win the division, I don't know what you were thinking. I'll put it that
Probably
way.
a Vikings fan, but
yeah. But for the Falcons here, their starting quarterback Desmond Ridder.
Who?
The kid.
That's going to be a theme.
The kid out of Cincinnati. You know what the real theme is on offense for them?
Mm-hmm.
Young. That is the theme of this Falcons team, as it is for the Packers offensively. The weapons, the rookie from Texas, Bijan Robinson.
Who?
Don't disrespect Bijan like that. Tyler Algier. I don't know how to say his name.
Exactly. Who?
Algieri. Oh, I'm going to check how to spell his name.
You got it right with the spelling, but the pronunciation guide may be a question.
Algier. Okay, or is it Algier? Algier.
Algier.
Oh, Algier. Okay.
Algier. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's restart this. Tyler Algier,
who?
The running back, who was great last week. He had 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, dominated Carolina. And then we get to these receivers, and if you paid attention to the draft, especially to the second guy, you will know who these guys are. Drake London, the kid out of, I want to say, USC, who has high hopes for the Falcons.
And if you didn't see the draft, who?
And then the guy who was terrible last year does not, I don't think, unless he had a touchdown last week, which I don't think he did, he has a touchdown in his career, but if
he's a rookie and he had a touchdown in his career.
Well, no, he's not a rookie, second year.
Okay.
But it would seem as if
Kyle Pitts?
Yeah. He does not have a touchdown yet in his career on American soil. His only touchdown coming in London last year.
Okay.
So that's the what everyone's been talking about with him.
So a little bit less who?
But he was incredible at Florida. Their offensive line, it's pretty good. But when you think the Falcons, at least for me, the first thing I think of is this absolutely stacked defense who made some major additions this offseason. Let's start with a guy that we've seen play when he was with the Ravens, Calais Campbell, the star defensive end for them. Then you go to defensive tackle, a man who was, if you watch NFL Network this summer, he was on there a lot, talking on. He was actually a panelist on Good Morning Football this summer.
Nice.
The offseason, Grady Jarrett. I want to say he's a multi-time Pro Bowler. I can only assume he is. Great player. Then you go to the former Titan. When I think of this guy, I think of him in that blue and red. Bud Dupree. Phenomenal linebacker. And this is where it gets fun. A.J. Terrell, one of the best corners in the league, going up against Christian Watson probably. Then you look at Jesse Bates, who was picked up by the Falcons in free agency off the Bengals. Bates, a phenomenal player. And then a guy that the Packers know pretty well, Jeff Okudah, the youngster out of Ohio State who played on the Lions for a couple of years.
This defense is going to have to carry Atlanta this year.
Yeah.
Because you have this no-name offense. Mm-hmm. So many people.
I love how you're just disrespecting this offense completely.
I'm not saying they're not talented.
Yeah, they
just don't know who they are.
They could be great, yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking their talent. I'm not knocking their gifts and what they could do. But we just don't know who they are, and I don't think they know who they are at an NFL level yet.
Yeah.
You can't expect that going into week 2. So it would make absolute sense that this defense has to carry this team.
Yeah.
And for them to have any success in the early stage of 2023, it's going to be on the defense to lift them up.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a major challenge for Atlanta, which plays into the Packers' hands.
Yeah. Okay. So now to my game predictions. And this week I've got a lot of them. Let's start with Love has a solid game, 2 passing touchdowns.
Okay.
Which, you're probably like, that's a little bit low. He had 3 last week, but he's playing a better defense.
By far.
Especially better corners.
Yes.
So we'll start with that. Then I've got Aaron Jones plays well due to good O-line play, and he's going to score a rushing touchdown on Sunday. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Christian Watson versus A.J. Terrell is going to be awesome to watch. I've got C-Dub with a touchdown, though.
I don't necessarily know if I see Watson winning this matchup that much.
I don't either. I think he just has 1 touchdown.
I don't think he's going to get that, but I think that the other touchdown for Green Bay is going to come again as it did last week. Love to Jones in the passing game.
Okay. And then I think that Dobbs is going to win this 1v1 versus Jeff Okudah, the kind of mediocre player in Detroit.
Right.
Hopefully he'll be improving for Atlanta this season. But I've got Dobbs with a touchdown, and that's how the Packers get their 3 scores. If Bakhtiari plays, him versus Calais Campbell is going to be incredibly fun to watch. And that's all I've really got for this Packers offense versus Atlanta defense. Anything you want to add?
What you're saying makes absolute sense. I think it will be a tougher challenge for Jordan Love and company. We're going to see a little bit more how well Love deals with pressure.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, especially with this Bakhtiari Campbell matchup.
Yeah. And also Elton Jenkins and Grady Jarrett. Also, watch that, the guard versus the tackle there.
Yeah.
Hopefully Jenkins is getting to him, not Josh Myers.
Yes.
And then to the Packers defense. I think the Packers D line is going to get to Desmond Ridder, the young quarterback with a good O-line, but Kenny Clark, Lucas Van Ness.
Yep.
The 2 stars of this defense. And, Devontae White out of Georgia, of course, and Carl Brooks, the draft pick out of Bowling Green, both also they played well week 1.
Okay.
So solid line play week 1 for the Packers. And I also think that Jair Alexander will be locking down Drake London. Ridder, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Bijan Robinson scores a touchdown in the rushing game. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not so sure you're going to see a long drive where Atlanta's going to get to the end zone.
Okay.
I think especially with this young quarterback, you're going to see Atlanta struggle to put together long drives.
Yeah.
I think those end in field goals, not touchdowns. I think my prediction is going to be even more of a bigger, solid Packers win than what you're going to have coming up.
Yeah. And also Desmond Ridder, I forgot to kind of mention this. Age 24, he's been with the Falcons since 2022, so last year.
Sure.
He played a little bit at the end of the year. So not the most experience as Marcus Mariota was playing last year, but he played a bit. So now to the score.
Okay.
Atlanta is favored by 1.5 here.
That's surprising.
I was shocked by that. The over-under on this game is 40. I have the Packers 24-20, the Packers winning outright. I was going to say 31-20, and then I looked at this line, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But you know what? Now that I think about it, I think that line, the line might be that way just because they don't know if Watson and Jones and Bakhtiari are going to play.
Possibly.
I'm still going to stick with 24-20, but it could be like 28-20.
Under the assumption that the 3 Packers who are questionable play, I'll take the Packers 24-13. This will be a defensive game.
I like it.
I think Atlanta has enough defensive weaponry to give Green Bay a few more problems, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
I think they're going to pressure Jordan Love a little bit more. He'll make a couple mistakes in this game, but the Packers defense is solid enough that they'll be able to help make up for it. I only think they let that Atlanta offense get into the end zone once.
Okay.
24-13.
So you're taking the under.
Correct.
I'm taking the over. But we both have the Packers winning outright here.
Yep.
So ESPN gave the Falcons, I want to say, like a 52% chance at winning, but I'm going to disagree with them there.
Okay.
And yeah, so that I think will do it for us today. So if you haven't yet, like, subscribe and hit that bell. Ding, ding,
ding,
ding.
ding.
Linktree.com/soldier for all our social media. And we will see you later. Go Pat!